Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, and coming up here on today's show, we're going to look at 5 sleepers that have been pressing at Raiders training camp so far. I'll admit, for a lot of the OG Raiders Report watchers, for a lot of the real ones, and if you're a real one, spam RO4L down below, you're going to see 1 or 2 of these names. You're going to be like, how is that guy even a sleeper? We also have to remember, not a lot of people watch Raiders content, shows in general, May, June, and July, and our audience is about to really climb high in the next week, 2, leading up to the regular season. If you're like, wait a minute, why do Raiders Report watchers know this? Because to me, Raiders Report watchers, those are the real ones, and we do a lot of training camp news. We go live at least 3 times a week. If breaking news happens, I got you covered. 100% for free, and when breaking news does truly happen, like if the Raiders sign a big-name guy and I'm live, we're going Oakland style. If it's a Raiders game day, we're partying Oakland style. We're going to have a lot more giveaways this year, and the only way that you're going to be able to get any of this information for free and win some stuff is if you hit that subscribe button and if you turn on those notifications. Just make sure that those notifications are turned on all. All right, let's go to the first name. I don't have these guys ranked in any particular way, but the first name up here is Harrison Bryant at tight end. And to me, the reason why that I think that he is one of these training camp sleepers is simply because Brock Bowers been getting a lot of attention. Michael Mayer been getting a lot of attention. When the Raiders, moved on, I shouldn't say moved on. When Michael Gallup retires, a lot of people were like, well, what are the Raiders going to do now? How are they going to be able to handle this wide receiver 3? One of the things that we've been saying a lot of on this show is I could see them, since they're going to implement a lot of this 12 personnel, and when you just think of overall available targets, okay? To me, I think the amount of targets that are going to go to Harrison Bryant and how much that he's used on the field, it's going to be just as much as what Michael Gallup would have been used on this Raiders team. And they've been using 3 tight ends a ton early on at practice. Like, they're going to be a physical football team. What's an easier way to help out maybe your offensive line that's got some extra injuries early on? You add an extra tight end there in Harrison Bryant. This is somebody in 2019 who won the best tight end of the year in college football award. He's a hell of a blocker. That's going to help him get on the field. And Getsy continues to say that this whole group has been awesome. And, we hear so much about Max Crosby. You hear so much about the Christian Wilkins. But, when you hear so much about Bowers and Mayer, it's not because Harrison Bryant's not playing well. It's because that's where the media wants to know. That's where fans want to know. But based on things that I know, Harrison Bryant has been a really solid player at Raiders training camp, and I don't think that you guys should be sleeping on him because of his blocking ability. He might not light up that stat sheet, but he's going to find himself on the football field. Hell, here's what Raiders offensive coordinator Luke Getsy had to say about the tight end group so far. The whole group has been awesome. We stress and put a lot of pressure on them with how much stuff they have to know. They have to be a tight end. They have to be a receiver. They have to be a tackle. They have to be a running back. They have to do a lot. And because of the 12 personnel, and I think when you just look at everything that the Raiders tight end group is going to be asked to do this upcoming season, that a lot of people that watch this show are going to know that Harrison Bryant is a name to keep in mind. He's a name that y'all need to see, and he, damn it, deserves to be a sleeper on my list at least. So let's talk about Bowers, Mayer, and Harrison Bryant, and let's play a little bit of a game here. How many combined receptions, okay? So if you were to get asked this question, how many combined receptions for Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, and Harrison Bryant this season? This is going to be the pinned comment here on today's show. You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down and give me your answer, because after this ad break, I'm going to give you mine. The numbers that I have here for the total amount of receptions for those 3 tight ends is 98. Now, when I crunch my numbers out, I have Bowers getting 47 catches. I have Michael Mayer getting 34 catches. I have Harrison Bryant getting 17. Obviously, these numbers can fluctuate. One guy could get a lot more. Injuries could end up popping up. But I think for the most part, a lot of people, I'm looking at the live chat right now, very, very high numbers. You also got to consider the quarterback play that we have. We're going to be a run-first offense, I believe. Then you got Devontae, then you got Jacoby, you got Trey Tucker. A lot of good mouths to feed. This offense is going to beat you with 1,000 paper cuts. I'm going to go 98 in total, but please let me know what you guys have to say. Let's go to the next name, and this one might be the guy that I think is the most surprising on this list. Wide receiver Alex Bachman. Now, some of the notes that I've received while I was away on my bachelor parties, on top of some of the notes that I've received just in the last, let's say, 48 hours on Bachman, have been kind of, surprising, where I got to take a little bit of an L here. When the Raiders signed Bachman, I was like, this is just going to be a name, a random name, blah, blah, blah. But if you go back and you watch that video, I also make a joke saying, imagine if this is Christian Wilkerson. And the reason why that I say that is because the Raiders signed, Christian last season at wide receiver. He was a McDaniels guy and ended up being that sixth wide receiver that ended up making the roster. What if Bachman ends up being that final guy that ends up making the Raiders roster at wide receiver because of the injuries, because of some other things that ended up going down? Now, all the reports are that he's been making some big catches. He's been making some big plays. He's running solid routes. And, he's just running good routes. He's getting open. And for the quarterback play that we have this season, it doesn't really surprise me all that much that they're looking for a good route runner. He's been battling with Christian Wilkerson and also been battling with Keelan Doss. Hell, somebody told me that he's been the best out of those two names. And I think for a lot of Raider fans, you have that image in your mind of how good you think Keelan Doss is, right? Or how good do you think Wilkerson is, somebody who's made our roster before. And then you think of Bachman. If Bachman's outperforming those guys, that deserves some notoriety there. And that there's a chance that he could be the wide receiver 6 with Gallup retiring, with Jalen Guyton's injury. Because after Trey Tucker, Jacoby Myers, Devontae Adams, to me, that this is a wide open battle. I can make a show, and I can tell you why Bachman could make the roster. I can do the exact same thing of why Tulu Griffin could do it, why Keaton could do it, why Foreman could do it. We have a lot of unproven players outside of Devontae, Jacoby, and Trey Tucker at the wide receiver position. Now, I do think DJ Turner ends up making it. That's 4 wide receivers. Well, are we going to keep a 5th? What if Guyton is number 5? Cool. What if we end up keeping a 6th? Because then if we end up keeping a 6th, does that mean that, we're going to be able to add some of these other guys on here, some of these other players that can make an impact, where you look at Keelan Doss, also on the team. Foreman, also on the team. So from top to bottom, my only point is this. If the reports out of camp are that Bachman is impressing, we've seen it before where a player that nobody thought was going to make the team in Wilkerson ended up making the team. All I'm saying is keep an eye out for him, because originally I said that he would have been one of the first 6 players that would have been cut if the Raiders would have brought somebody in. But he continues to go out there and do his thing. Sounds like he's looking pretty good. And since he is literally like the definition of a sleeper, hell, he might be what I like to consider a deep sleeper. Somebody, when you're waking up, you're rubbing all that shit out of your eyes. That's Alex Bachman. Can he make the team? Only time is going to tell. Well, we got 3 more players coming up here on the show. But before we get into that, let's give a huge shout out to our sponsor today here, because they've done a lot of great things for us. And I think that they definitely deserve a lot of that notoriety here. So let's give a shout out to our awesome sponsor, Game Time. $20 off with code CHATSPORTS is how you guys are going to be able to get this one set up. Now, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS. You're going to be able to get $20 off. If you don't know how to spell it, it's CHATSPORTS. Obviously, terms apply, but you can get the last-minute tickets, and you get that lowest price guaranteed. Game Time offers you a lot of really amazing things, and I think for Chuggs and I, we love using Game Time because anytime you go out to Las Vegas, there's a lot of different things that are going on, and you want to have a lot of different things planned. That's totally fine. Whether you want to go to a Raiders game, maybe you want to go to a concert like Adele, like Chuggs has done. Bottom line is, with the regulars preseason and regular season right around the corner, Game Time is that perfect app for the nation, and I love their app because you can get those last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater. You get the all-in pricing, which is toggling this feature shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Seat views is a big winner for me. You can get this panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee, which this is something that I love. And if you don't get that lowest price guarantee, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So nation, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Baseball, we got tickets for that. There's tickets right now, like I said. You can get tickets, I want to say, for the Minnesota Vikings Raiders preseason game. You get that for $12. Last-minute tickets, views from your seat. Flash deals are cool, too. You go on the Game Time app, and this is what I like to do personally. If I'm going to buy a game where I'll literally wait until 2-3 hours right before tip-off for a Mavs game or a hockey game for the Stars, or if I am in Las Vegas and I'm waiting for an event, I will literally wait an hour and a half, 2 hours before that event. Then Game Time will offer you a flash deal. You swipe that bad boy, and all of a sudden, they're giving you the best deal available. It's like a take-it-or-leave-it situation. So those links are going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Shout out to Game Time for sponsoring the Raiders Report. Here we go. Let's go to the next deep sleeper here on our show that I think has been impressing at training camp. It's Tyreek McAllister. Now, this could be the name that, I'm not kidding you, if you were to tell me, Mitch, who's the most surprising player that ends up making the roster, I'm going to say McAllister. And this is a dude that's got legit, and I'm talking legit 4.3 speed. I want to say that he ran like a 4.34 at the NFL Combine, or not a Combine, but when he ran his 40-yard dash time, was a practice squad player. But the reason why I want y'all to keep an eye on Tyreek McAllister is because of everything else that is happening. And one of the reasons why I love rumors, right? One of the reasons why I always say where there's smoke, there's fire, is because if you follow a lot of the tea leaves, you can kind of start to pick this stuff out. So Trey Tucker, Jack Jones, Nate Hobbs, and McAllister have been the 4 main kick return, punt returners during Raiders training camp so far. McAllister has punt return and kick returning experience back in college. I want to say he averaged like 15 on punt returns and close to 25 yards on kick returns. But like, he also was on the Broncos practice team in 2022. Mitch, why is that important? Well, the Raiders special teams coach Tom McMahon was with the Denver Broncos when McAllister was there. And then on top of that, he's got that legit speed. But think about this, right? McAllister has been listed as a running back, and he's also been listed as a wide receiver. And with how much work Dylan Laube's been getting, mainly on, third downs, could you see an opportunity for McAllister where, all right, DJ Turner, you're going to make the roster. What if Guyton's banged up? You have some of these UDFA receivers, and you've already seen so many coaching staff say that they want to have some of that extra insurance for these new kick return rules. You can't teach 4.3 speed. And if you need somebody that can help out in special teams a little bit more and then also be that extra running back depth, maybe that extra wide receiver depth to spread it all out, just saying, Tyreek McAllister is definitely a name to keep in mind. Let's go to Decamerion Richardson at the cornerback spot. The Raiders drafted him in the 4th round of this past year's draft. And, I've always said that to me, I think Richardson's going to be a little bit more of an impact player on special teams just because he's long, he's lanky, he's super athletic. McMahon gave a description earlier the offseason about what he thinks of a special teams corner kind of looking like, or a special teams player. A lot of linebackers, a lot of speed, a lot of corners, a lot of speed is kind of how he's been saying it. But because Brandon Fason's been battling some injuries the past few days, he's been working with the 1st and 2nd team. I will admit that it's mainly Ja'Cory and Bennett working with the 1s, but Richardson filling in for the 2s is good. But Richardson's also been a great gunner so far. And the last time that I'll say this, where we talked about, remember Matt Collins? Dude's a weirdo, but he's a great weirdo in all the right ways. He's like the right guy you need for a football team. I could see Decamerion Richardson being a gunner, kind of like a Matt Collins, where it's like, that guy is just an unbelievably gifted athlete, and Richardson is that, and he's been a really, really good special teams player, been a really good gunner, and he's going to get those opportunities early on. But the fact that he's taking advantage of the Fason injury, being banged up, the fact that he's going out there and showing what he can do on special teams, the fact that he's been working with, at times, the 1st and 2nd team, you put all of those things together, and to me, that is a big win for a young rookie where we didn't necessarily know how much playing time that he was going to be able to get this upcoming season. But Decamerion Richardson, to me, is a sleeper that I do think deserves some credit. So before we get into the final sleeper here on today's show, what is your confidence level in this Raiders cornerback room? A lot of reports have been saying that the corners have been looking good. Jack Jones, real deal. Nate Hobbs, real deal. Ja'Cory Bennett's been stepping up. Decamerion Richardson's been having a good practice as well. What is your confidence level in this cornerback room? I want you to scale it from 1 all the way up to 10. 1, you're not confident at all. 10, you have the utmost confidence in this cornerback room. For me personally, I'm still just going to sit here at this 6 number. And I don't think there's really any reason to go up. No really reason to go down. Yes, the corners have been playing well. I think it's also because of how good the Raiders defensive line is, the Raiders quarterback situation, the Raiders learning a new offense, a lot of ups and downs here. But the fact that some of our younger athletic corners are taking that step forward, you got to absolutely love seeing that as a Raider fan. Before we get into that final name again, man, if anybody wants to be able to hang out with Jeremy Chuggs and I in North Carolina, we're going to be in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. You can hang out with us for our Week 1 watch party by going down here. It's absolutely free to attend. There's going to be food. There's going to be drinks. There's going to be raffle prizes, all that kind of good stuff. And if anybody enjoyed what we did during our Super Bowl watch party, it's going to be this just a lot bigger because it's a Raider game day. It's at the Back Then Bar and Grill, and seating is limited. This is like an outside-inside bar type of area. I'm super excited to be able to go there. Here's the thing, though. You can actually hang out with Chuggs and I not only on Sunday on game day when the Raiders take down the Chargers. You're also going to be able to hang out with us on that Saturday before. My dad's going to be there, which is going to be a really cool thing. This event here, if you go to chatsports.com/topgolf, I suck at golf. I'm looking forward to going to Topgolf, though, with Chuggs. I'm not kidding you. I'm literally just going to try to hit the ball as far as I can every single time. Like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to blow my back out trying to hit a golf ball. But you know what? 20 tickets is for everyone to be able to enter the raffle. It's like based on, the more tickets you buy, the better chance you have to get in. But it's like one ticket's $20. Bottom line, if you're going to be in that area, if you're on the East Coast, I've heard some Mount Radomore is going to be pulling up as well. Chatsports.com/Topgolf. Love the experience. Going to be a lot of fun, and I hope to see you there. Let's go to the final sleeper here, and it's Dylan Laube. And the only reason why I got to put Laube on this list is because, for whatever reason, people are still acting surprised about all the reports that are coming out from Laube. Like, shit, this has been a player that Chuggs and I have been saying for a long time. Going to surprise some people. Made a show around him saying, like, this is one of the young players that not a lot of people are getting a lot of attention on. We were on another Raiders content creator show saying, like, Laube's going to be a big, impactful player. I saw a Raiders beat reporter, I believe it was Vic Tafer about a month ago, say that he don't even know if Laube's going to make the roster. I was like, that's the most mind-blowing thing I've ever heard, because we knew that he was going to be an impactful player, and smoke where there's fire. You saw it in May. You saw it in June. You saw it in July. When a player creates the amount of buzz that Laube is creating, he needs to be taken seriously. And, maybe putting him on the Raiders report isn't fair, but for the national media out there, the amount of times that I've had to defend this kid and be like, dude, he's going to get his opportunities. You all know that I'm a fantasy football guy through and through, and I've said on multiple shows, you need a PPR running back from the Raiders, late round flyer, take one on for Dylan Laube, because he continues to get more work as the running back. He worked with the ones at Raiders practice on Tuesday for the third down back role, and he can clearly catch the football. He clearly run between the tackles, and the fact that he hasn't been working on special teams, like, that's a big, that's the big light bulb in my head. The Raiders like this kid so much, and this is a player that we thought was going to get used on special teams. They like him so much on offense that they're going, we're not putting him on special teams. He's working with the offense. That's a major, major win in my book, where, it says Amir Abdullah, RB3. Quite frankly, I think I almost got to switch this to, I could see Laube taking over as that RB3 role, being that third down back guy, competing with Alexander Madison. Zamir's still going to be that main RB1. But if you don't know who Dylan Laube is, it's time to wake up and to hit that subscribe button on the Raiders Report, because, damn it, we've been talking about this one for a while. Luke Getsy, this is what he had to say about Dylan Laube. He's off to a great start. The game comes natural to him. He has a great feel for it. The decisions he has to make, they come to him naturally. As far as responsibility-wise, he doesn't have the errors, so that's really cool to see from such a young guy. When you have a young player that doesn't commit the bonehead dumb errors, that's a big win, especially this early on. Especially for a team that's just preaching on, like, we got to go out there, we got to execute at a high level. You got to go out there and make sure that you're not committing any turnovers. And I think the other part of it is when you lose a player like Michael Gallup, when you lose a player potentially like a Jalen Guyton, and you're thinking about the targets that might have gone to those players. I mean, to me, Michael Gallup maybe have gotten 50 targets on the season. Maybe he would have gotten 40. You know what's easy to do? Take those Michael Gallup targets, bundle them up, and you give them to Dylan Laube. Because if you give Laube 40 targets this season, he's bringing in 30 balls, and he's going to wreak some havoc there, because this guy in open space, he can move. He might be the most athletic running back that we have on our roster right now. So one more time here are the top 5 players that I have as Raider sleepers, and I wanted to do this a little bit different in terms of what's the percentage chance of those 5 guys making this roster. For Bryant, Richardson, and Laube, it's 100%. They're not going anywhere. For Alex Bachman, I'm going to put it at a 20, and for Tyreek McAllister, I'm going to put it at a 25% chance that they make it, and that one's just a little bit more to do with the special teams aspect side of it. I gave McAllister that extra bump because he is the better athlete. You can't teach speed, and because he is listed as this hybrid wide receiver running back role, in my book, it just gives him a better overall chance to potentially make that roster.